Okay, so let's change subjects a little bit here. And we're going to talk about interest rates and what's going on. We are in a strange market right now, economically, in my opinion. I mean, it's very odd what's going on. Well, first of all, we have obviously inflation. So the Federal Reserve, their mandate is to keep inflation down below 2%. So we had this big jump in inflation over the last couple of years, and they jumped the rates dramatically. Now, I've been doing this long enough that the very first property I bought, when, believe it or not, it was 1981, and I paid 12% interest on the mortgage back then. That was normal. No one even thought twice about it. You know, the rates we saw over the last 10 years or so were never before in history have we seen rates that low. Well, you're right. Well, it's 15 years really. You're right, but it's been after 2008. They just pushed the rates down to practically zero. That's never happened before, right? So we got used to these low rates, and so anyway, they've raised these rates. They're kind of softening a little bit, but until we see that inflation rate get down to 2%, we're not going to see any big drop in interest rates. Look, we're all hoping that rates go down sooner than later, but it's all dependent on the inflation. So we'll see how that plays out. This is just a survey that was done, and almost 100% of the institutions surveyed felt that by the end of this year, rates were going to come down. We'll see. We don't know, because the Federal Reserve is in charge of that. And like I said, you want to watch that inflation rate. As long as it stays above 2%, they're not going to noticeably drop the rates. So we kind of have to live in this world. Now, this is an interesting graph, a really good one, I think. So this is showing us that for every 1% drop in mortgage rates, 5 more million people in America qualify to buy a home. So if rates go down 3%, that's an extra 15 million potential buyers for real estate. It's a lot of people, right? But the reverse is when the rates go up. For every time rates go up 1%, that's 5 million people that are taken off the table and can't buy, right? But what that's telling us, though, now that rates have gone up, is that as the rates go down, a lot more people are going to be piling into the market. And then there's also, I have a lot of investors I'm talking to, and they're saying, look, I don't want to buy another property till the interest rates go down. Well, what's going to happen when the interest rates go down? Exactly. A lot more people, not just these potential new home buyers, but also all these investors that have been kind of waiting to buy something at a lower interest rate, right? And they're all going to be piling in the market. And again, we're in this odd situation where, well, I was talking to First American Title the other day, and they said that the volume of transactions last year dropped 70%. It means only 1/3 of the volume is happening right now in real estate. That's a big drop. But have we seen prices go down? Why is that? Supply and demand. I mean, if there's less transactions, you think that the price would go down, right? Well, how many people here have a mortgage that's like 3 or 4% on your property? Do you want to sell that property and buy something and pay 6 or 7% or more on the new property? Nobody wants to sell right now. There's very limited inventory. I mean, I just talked to a broker the other day in Glendale. I was surprised. There was a fourplex went on the market in Glendale, and it was on the market for about $2.2 million. 42 offers, 27 of them all cash. And this is just in the last 2 weeks. And that got bid up $500,000 over the asking price. There's a lot of buyers out there, but there just isn't the inventory. And also with the interest rates the way they are, it's really hard to make the numbers work, with property right now, rental property. So you have to put a lot of cash down. Anyway, and then there's another big pressure on the market right now for single-family homes especially, is a lot of institutions are buying single-family homes right now, rental properties. And they're inventorying them and collecting the rent and everything off. So what does that tell you? Well, those guys usually aren't dumb, right? In fact, I have some property in Florida, and I was surprised. An institution called me just yesterday and asked if I wanted to sell my property. I said, well, look, I'm in the middle of renovating it. And he goes, that's great. We want to buy properties after they're renovated, and we don't have to worry about it. I go, all right, call me in 2 months. Yeah, so they're out there buying aggressively right now. And I've run into them in other deals. I've run into them in Indianapolis and other markets. So there's a big pool of money out there with investment companies that are out there buying single family. This company, Tricon, if you look them up, I was shocked. They own 38,000 homes, single family homes in America. They're actually out of Toronto. That's a lot of homes. And they're buying and building all the time. So there's a lot of big groups out there. And I see ads now for, I think it's homebuyers.com. There's a bunch of groups now that you see advertisements on TV they'll give you an offer in your home. And a lot of those they're buying for institutions. Here's Atlanta, and that's showing us that 25% of all the rental homes in Atlanta are owned by institutions. That's a big percentage. So that's another whole group of buyers that are putting pressure on the market. And then you look at the millennials. I know my kids are getting, in that age group, and now they're buying homes, their friends are buying homes, they're starting to have kids and everything. And that group of millennials is bigger than the baby boomer generation, which was a big group of people. There's 84 million millennials, and they're all jumping in to buy properties now too. So there's a lot of pressure on housing. The other thing, I hate to bring it up, but we have this whole issue of illegal aliens coming in. We've had like 8 million come in supposedly in the last 3 years. Where are they staying? Now they're probably not home buyers, but they're living somewhere, right? So again, that's more pressure on the housing market. It's a lot of people to put somewhere. So again, all the statistics are showing that property is not going to go down unless we have some total catastrophe in the economy.